we gather in search of the truth, dark, and mystery. It's the Drunk Turkey Show.
Big development today in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. According to state and local officials and court documents, 28-year-old Bryan Christopher Kohberger has been arrested. He was arrested and arraigned this morning in Pennsylvania.
We have new details on what Bryan Kohberger was doing right before his arrest. Police says a tactical team burst in to arrest the Idaho murder suspect. He was in pajamas and latex gloves, stuffing trash into Ziploc bags.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Phil J. Pride, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. Today, we're going to be going back into the Bryan Kohberger case. We are about almost finished with everything. There's still a few more things that are coming out. I know that the audio from Bryan Kohberger's police calls with his mom, or from calls from jail from his mom, are supposed to be coming out pretty soon. I know that there's a few more things that are going to be dropping, but for the most part, it's getting kind of towards the end. We've all kind of discovered what we all known already, that Bryan Kohberger committed this crime. And there was a latest and a newest docuseries on the topic with I think I have Ms. Vona in 2 spots down. Oh, there you go. All righty. I see you in the background. I don't hear you yet. And so before I pull her up, I want to tell you guys. So ABC 2020 had a docuseries last night on the Idaho case, and they promised a lot of new stuff, and they delivered to a certain extent. You know, there was a lot of things that I felt that were kind of the same. You know, some of the stuff that we were already accustomed to and aware of. Give me a thumbs up, Dr. V, whenever you're ready. All righty. So without further ado, let's bring our guest today, Dr. Vona. How's it going, doctor?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I think everybody's doing well. I hope, at least. I hope everybody's having a safe weekend. Your Eagles won.
I was just going to say, I'm having a good weekend. The Eagles won.
You know, I'm from Texas. I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm from Texas, and I'm not a fan of the Cowboys. If you're Cowboys fans out there, I'm not going to apologize for that, but I'm not a Cowboys fan.
You know what I never hear you talk about, Daniel? Xana was like an avid Steelers fan.
I've seen her with the jersey before, but
Yes.
I didn't know, and I saw Ethan with the jersey also. I wasn't sure what their connection was, but
She
yeah,
was a huge Steelers fan. I'm always like, why don't we ever bring that up?
Yeah, amazing woman. I mean,
You're
for multiple reasons.
right. I can't argue that.
But Steelers fan as well. That's awesome. You know, I saw the images between her and Ethan. I didn't know if it was her or if it was Ethan, or both. If both of them were Steeler fans for a while. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Alex comes in saying, "I better hear Bryan crying to his mommy on those phone calls. I also hope your pops is getting better." Thank you so much, Alex. Yes, he's actually at home already. He's still feeling it. Obviously, it was a major surgery. He had 5 valves that needed to be worked on, and so he's doing a lot better. I was gonna go see him tomorrow, but my daughter, who lives out there, she ended up with COVID, and so gotta wait till next week.
Oh no.
Yeah. We don't. The little one just got over a sickness not too long ago. Don't want to get her sick again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or you're your dad.
Yeah, that too, for sure. Well, so the 2020. Let's get into it. The 2020 Idaho Justice. I know you said you just saw this behind stage. Did you find it to be overly revealing?
No, I didn't. I really thought that there was, like I was saying to you, there was like once or twice that I had to check to see if I was watching the new one, because I felt like I was watching a rerun. So now the pictures and stuff that come out, they're new. But other than that, I really felt like there was a lot of like just stuff we already knew. However, if there's people that don't know about the case, I think they did a good job then. But for all of us that know a lot about the case, I didn't find anything really revealing. Did you?
I found a little bit of things. I wrote down about 4 or 5 pages of notes. So,
There you go. So tell us about it.
so basically, I'm not going to go into everything about the documentary. I'm going to leave something for you guys to go and watch. But it
Right.
starts off with a pretty decent intro. It's kind of all over the place in the beginning. You know, it shows the 911 call. It shows the body cam footage of them going through the house, and then it clips off to where some of the victims, the surviving roommates, are outside talking about what they saw. And so it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, but then it kind of like starts to focus in, and it does a beautiful way of talking about the victims, and it separates everything that is about Bryan Kohberger. So it's not like 2 hours of just Bryan Kohberger. It's one victim, and then the next victim, then a little bit about Bryan, and then another victim, and then a little bit about Bryan, and then the final victim. And so it breaks it up, so that way it's not just all about Bryan Kohberger, and there's can be some remembrance about what this case is about, and that's the victims. You know, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves. And so I thought it did a really good job about talking about who they were and the kind of folks that they were and were aspiring to be. And
I agree with that. I agree with that. That's why I said if you weren't familiar with the case, I think they did a really good job there. But I felt like for people that were there, I mean, I'm interested to see some of the things that you found that were different, because I didn't really find too much. I felt like it was a lot of the same stuff.
there was a lot of the same stuff. They went into, and I'll go into it now with like kind of an order when it comes to like the Bryan Kohberger stuff. They had some new photos of BK, and we're going to break those down. They talk about Bryan Kohberger losing it on campus, and was losing his job. They talked to a few people who were one of the investigators that was investigating his background, and everybody they talked to said kind of the few things, and including what they found in his phone was that he had very, very few friends throughout his entire life, very awkward his entire life, and never had a girlfriend. I'm not surprised by that, but what do you think about those things, about that being prevalent throughout his life, and what does that say about some folks thinking maybe this had something to do with, like, maybe his personality had something to do with his drug abuse? It sounds like he had a personality issue before the drug abuse. Maybe it wasn't to the same extent, but can drug abuse, magnify some of these things that's going on with him mentally?
Great question. So you're absolutely right. A personality starts as soon as you're born, and it continues throughout your life. And it usually is like you have like a stability throughout life. So for some people, it's one thing. We all have different characteristics. So you're totally right that the personality was existent before. However, I do think that oh my God, I just lost my train of thought with the one thing. Remind me of the one thing that you just said at the end. I don't know why.
So my thoughts were, if he was socially awkward his entire life, did the drug abuse impact that social awkwardness or his personality?
And you guys, I never did like hardcore drugs, so that there's no reason for why I just had, except for I'm getting old, I guess. But that's why I just had a brain fart. But anyway, so with his drug use, so absolutely. So, and he was using hard drugs. It wasn't like he was just, smoking pot here or there. Like he was using H or whatever. So, and he was using for a while. And we know that a few of the people that he was close to passed away using. So, I mean, and it was really, it still is really bad here in Pennsylvania, but they it was like fentanyl too. It wasn't just that, and whether you knew you were getting it or not. Do I think that could have an effect on your brain? Absolutely. One of the things that you have to look at is the fact that that's like a huge high, right? So it's like a huge euphoria that you try to keep chasing. That's why people say chase the high. So with that being said, after you get sober, a lot of times people, when they're sober in this situation, often feel like they can't find something that gets them that excited anymore. So they almost feel like they're dead inside, like just they need something more. So I absolutely think that his drug use had an effect on his personality, as far as, so the personality was already there, but as far as him trying to meet that high again, if you will. So it was almost like, now that he's sober, he needed to do something to reach that level, that dopamine rush.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, he could have done away with a bunch of his feelings by trying to chase that high feeling. And I only know about it through Hotel California by the Eagles. That's what that song is
Oh
about.
my gosh, that's so funny.
They talked to a friend of Bryan Kohberger's. His name's John. I don't know if that's his real name or not, but he talks about the moment where Bryan Kohberger was trying to sell a cell phone, who we find out later belonged to his sister, and the whole purpose of that was to purchase some stuff, to purchase H. And he wasn't aware that Bryan Kohberger got arrested for it. He wasn't aware that it was Bryan Kohberger's sister's phone, but he had just came out of rehab apparently when that happened, then went into rehab again. And so it sounds, and at a very young age, this was all around high school. So between the age of 16 and like 19 years old is when he's having a bunch of these problems, when your brain is still developing. And so then they go on to talk about how they talked to another guy named James, who was a classmate with Bryan Kohberger. And they talked about at DeSales that Bryan Kohberger would light up when they talked about serial offenders. And that they would talk about, and then they also brought up the survey. And I thought this was a miss for the documentary. They talked about the survey that Bryan Kohberger committed, where he talked about the feelings and emotions. What I don't see anybody bringing up, and I just don't understand if they haven't gone through the documents, is that Bryan Kohberger's Reddit survey didn't get approved right away. He turned it in, or he entered in, to have that survey put up. And it was like towards the end of the year, he was already getting close to graduating, but Reddit pulled it down. It was after he graduated with multiple communication with Reddit. And there's documents of this communication where he's asking to have it put up because he's doing something for DeSales, even though he's already graduated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big red flag. And I think that's something that they missed by not putting out there, that he was actively trying to pursue these, finding out the emotions of offenders after he'd already graduated. Do you think that was a miss?
1,000%. And yes, absolutely. That was a mess. Especially, I mean, you and I have been saying it this whole time, but there was no way that he did that for research. So my thing is, unless DeSales just doesn't want to get into it, like maybe it's bad publicity but I mean, they didn't know. If anything, you would think that the site would be the ones that are at fault, Reddit, for not, calling DeSales to be like, is this a real survey? But it had like the letterhead, everything on it. So, I mean, that's really like ballsy, right? Like if you think about it, he fought that. So they turned him down and he fought Reddit and they eventually put it back up. But I can't believe that they didn't like reach out to DeSales just to make sure.
Yeah, that, and I mean, I'm just shocked that, and I found this to be kind of a continuation of a mix of a loss of facts and missed points. For instance, they talked to the WSU police chief, who was the Pullman police chief at the time of the murders. He's the one that investigated or interviewed Bryan Kohberger, and he continually tells everybody in all his interviews that the reason he didn't hire Bryan Kohberger was because he was socially awkward. In this docuseries, they talked about how it was part of the program that he had with WSU. Now he's an employee of WSU, so now he can't really talk bad about WSU, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is he talks about it being a program within WSU and the Pullman Police Department. And so he was going to have to hire him regardless, right? Now, I know some people were saying, well, he chose somebody else. He could have chose somebody else because somebody else was closer to graduating than Bryan Kohberger. Fair point, but that's not what he said. You get what I'm saying? He's not going out there saying, oh, we had somebody else who was closer to graduating. That's why we did that. He's going out there saying he was socially awkward. I didn't think he was going to get along with my staff. And I find this to be bull crap. During this time, and we found out during other interviews that this chief of police that they're at WSU now was actually speaking with the heads of senior leadership about the Moscow case. He was informing them about what was going on. And you can't tell me during that same time that they're having problems that while he's talking to them about this case, he's probably also having to do some sort of background check on Bryan Kohberger there. How do I know this? Because if you go to the the Pullman Police Department website and you look up their internship police department, you do some searches and they have to pass a background check. That's part of all of them. Anybody that goes through their intern or not have to pass a background check.
That makes sense.
So he's going to the same people that would know his background, asking about the background check, talking about what's going on in Moscow, and nobody ever crosses lines here and connects the dots.
I know it's the same thing we said about the sales too, right? Like nobody
I think
figured
it's
it out there
bullcrap.
either. I agree with you with that.
I think it's bullcrap.
I do think though, like the chief said, it was the chief or whatever that said about him that he said no but the fact that he knew that he was socially awkward and that he wouldn't be able to connect with the staff, I think that was telling, right? Because there's so many people that didn't pick up on that right away, and he winds up turning him down and picking those two other females. So I do think that we got to give him credit for that, because a lot of people did not pick up on or picked up on it and ignored it.
Do you think he picked it up off of a one-time Zoom meeting, or do you think he picked it up because he was doing background checks and that's what everybody was telling him?
This is the thing. Yeah, but this is the thing. So if he does background checks, isn't the only thing that really would have came up, like if anything, would be this cell phone thing?
Well, it doesn't, not necessarily. I mean, you're going to go and talk to his employers and his employees and talk to see what kind of person he was. It's not necessarily just the background check like that. You know, when you do a police background check, you talk to every employer. You see what kind of employee he was, if he had any problems, if there was any red flags, those type of things.
Isn't there only so much that you're allowed to ask? Like in Pennsylvania, I think you can only ask certain questions, like how long did they work there? Like certain basic questions. So I don't know. I'm curious there if they're allowed to get into that, because that would be more of like a letter of recommendation or a reference.
No, not necessarily. I mean, when a background check for a law enforcement or military is very invasive. I apologize. When I went through it to be a police officer, they contacted my buddy who was stationed in Germany to find out if I ever went and drank under the age of 21.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super invasive. They'll contact everybody and anybody, and when I got hired in law enforcement, I was fairly young. I was extremely young. And so I understand why they were going to be asking those type of questions and things of that nature. But yeah, they contacted my buddy in Germany to figure out if I ever drank before I was 21 and things of that nature. It's super invasive.
Because you're going to need some type of clearance, and they need to make sure that you're like.
Well, I mean, it's a background check for police to be a police officer. So it's super. I mean, even when I went in for my like security clearance, now that one was even worse.
Oh, great. I have to go in on Tuesday to get my like fingerprints done. Like I have to do a whole FBI background thing. So is that not the same as that?
No.
I think that's what I thought that he had done. So that's why I think I was.
It starts off with that. You go, you do your fingerprints, you do those things. But a part of the investigation too is contacting your employers, try to speak to as many people as possible to determine that you're not going to find somebody like a Bryan Kohberger on your team. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very invasive. They contact your friends, they contact your family, they have knocked and talked on neighbors, because I've been a part of them where I've assisted detectives in conducting background checks on other up and coming officers for a short period of time. And yeah, you just knock on the doors and like, hey, just kind of curious, have you ever had any problems with the neighbors, stuff like that. I mean, it is super invasive. To a certain extent, especially if they have some question marks. If things pop up that are red flags, then you got to dig in a little bit more. But if everything starts coming out pretty clear and clean, you might not have any issues. But you have a program that is connected between WSU and the Pullman Police Department, so they're not strangers from each other. There's got to be some sort of communication, and I highly doubt that he's like, oh, I'm not going to hire this guy on something that is mandatory. It's mandatory through his program that he has to hire him eventually. And I just don't buy that he's just saying that he picked up that he was socially awkward in a 40-minute Zoom call.
That's interesting.
You get what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
he talked to other people. And in another interview, he mentioned that somebody had told him anecdotally that he was socially awkward and some other things. But that was something that was more to deal with WSU, not so much Pullman Police Department. But he mentioned hearing at least one person talk about it.
Wow.
Now, you know, I mean, who's going to go and report to the chief of police about somebody being socially awkward? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be part of his investigation. That has to be a part of his investigation and background check into the guy and see what kind of person he is.
Would they contact like his high school and stuff? Because then they would find out that he got kicked out of that program. And
that's a good question. I'm not sure about that one. I don't know how far they'll go back like that.
I wonder if because he was going to do like the cloud forensics and stuff, if like you think you would have to go back that far just to make sure, because he would gain access to data.
Yeah, but I think you're looking for some more recent red flags. I mean, everybody as a kid kind of screws up every now and then. I would assume that they would have found his arrests and his his rehab stuff, so they would have known that he had a drug issue.
As far as that arrest that you're bringing up, I feel like with the 2020 or whatever, the episode we just watched, I feel like other than like we did find out about the person that, you know, friend that took him or whatever, but I feel like didn't we already know about the phone? Is this the first time that they like talked about it in
No,
public?
we've known that he got arrested for stealing his sister's phone.
So
And then we found out that it was also for drugs potentially.
Yeah.
But this information came now from somebody who was actually, you know, with him trying to sell the phone at one point with him for the purpose of it was to get drugs.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, you know, just kind of, you know, crossing back with what WSU and stuff. And then I've told this with Steve. I was talking to him, you know, earlier today and yesterday. I was like, man, everything just feels so watered down. Like it feels like law enforcement or the prosecution and law enforcement are coming in here and watering things down. My opinion, it has to do with the financial aspect. They don't want kids getting scared of not going to their communities and not attending the colleges. And so that would put a huge damper on the financial aspect of things, whether or not you're going to Idaho and you have the stigma that your kids are in danger, or you go to Washington and there's the stigma that they create monsters. And so, you know, you don't want to have either one of those stigmas on you as a school. So I get why they're doing it, but I think they're wrong for doing it. I think they should rip the Band-Aid off, be as honest as possible, put out all the information that they should, so that there is no concern or question, because all they're doing by watering things down is they're making me question their ability to have prosecuted this case. And they're going to make a lot of other people question a lot of different things and put more attention on themselves versus just being honest and open about the entire situation. But they've been doing this for a long time. I mean, think about it. We heard about it there. The kids that were outside, they wanted to know what happened to Kaylee and Maddie, and the freaking police officers were like, no, you don't say nothing, don't say nothing, don't say anything. And they let the freaking school inform them.
I couldn't believe that. They got the text message or whatever. That's terrible.
But that's the kind of like attention they've given this case.
Poor Jack.
I agree, but that's how they've handled this case, not just with the victims outside, but with everybody in the community and everybody following the case. They've handled it without trying to say anything and downplay things and let people find out the hard way. Do you think that the victims' family members wanted to find out about all this stuff through the media and things? You don't think that they would have wanted to find out about the horrificness well in advance, so they could have been prepared emotionally for these things to come out?
1,000%. And even like when we looked at some of the other episodes that we watched, Maddie's mom and stepdad, they're like on their way right away. Same thing with Ethan's parents, they're on their way. And even Xana's parents, like everybody, and then Kaylee's parents, they came to them at like 4:30. But it's like, even when the parents got there, they kind of like put them in the room and like came back. Like I felt like even they were saying like they couldn't, like they almost had to like pull teeth to get the information, like tell me what's going on. And it was almost like nobody wanted to tell them. And I do understand that it has to be like very traumatic for the police officers as well, but somebody needs to like tell them, those poor kids, like Jack was sitting in the car and he even says, I just want to know what's going on. And then the cop does go to the other cop and says, look, he wants to know, what do I do? And they tell him no.
No, he goes, well, dude, what if they ask? Dude, and he leaves them there hiding dry, like, I don't know. And I'm just like, come on, this is an adult situation. They've just gone through some horrific stuff. You're re-victimizing them by doing it this way.
Mm-hmm. And then the girls asked where Maddie and Kaylee were, and they were just like, well, we can't really say anything.
Yeah,
like,
that's
wow.
true. Thank you, Midwest, for gifting 1 Drunk Turkey Show membership. And at this point, I want to let you guys know that pinned in the comment section says, "Let's help out our friend Warning Label Nina. She's on a quest or a venture out there to assist homes that are designed to help people who have been battered or abused." And what she's doing with her company or with her dog kennel, Dabos Kennels, is building kennels at these homes. So that way, those who are potentially like being abused or need shelter have a place to go and not worry about their furry friends. And so she's building kennels in these places. She's on the road. She's now doing the true crime on the go in her van, going place to place and helping people out. She's actually going to be here. I think she's already here in San Antonio. Me and Steelers fan are going to have breakfast with her tomorrow.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. And so she has a YouTube channel. She has about 800 subs. It's called Warning Label Nina.
Yes, go.
If you guys do me a favor, go sub up. She's not monetized, and so if you want to support her, I put the link to her Cash App in the description, and it's in the comment section.
There's even a GoFundMe. Like I donated to the GoFundMe. There's a GoFundMe too for it, and it's amazing, you guys. And she just added cats because at first it was for dogs, and somebody said to her, "What about cats?" And what it is, real quick, is for a lot of people, and I know I see this even in Camden and Philadelphia, they don't want to go into rehab because they don't have anybody to take care of their animals. So,
speaking of which,
sorry. So this allows them to go into rehab and take their animals as well. Sorry,
right on time.
Thor is like, Thor just wants to be part of the live all the time.
There you go. That's also my my alternate ego, Thor, God of Thunder.
I know, that's funny.
And Warning Label Nina is here. She's like, I'm 13 miles away.
I'm so excited about that for you guys.
Yes, it should be it could be a good breakfast. I'm looking forward to it. Eve Loves God says Ellie's mishandling is a reason not to live/study there, not to live study there. Yeah, I would be concerned about sending my kids there, especially after all this.
This is the thing though. In a college town, their PR is like so good. So unfortunately, most people aren't as privy to the case as you, I, and the rest of the people watching right now. So I don't know that it really affected the school negatively. Do you know what I mean? So whatever they did, even though we don't agree with it, worked to some extent because they didn't like close, like their school is still. And the other thing I noticed that I wanted to point out is the fact that the law enforcement doesn't say a lot about the university. But if you notice, a lot of the people that were in law enforcement eventually get hired by the university. So how much of it is them just knowing not to say something because they don't want to ruin their chances of getting hired at the university at some point?
That's an excellent point. And I think that has a big part of it. I mean, Corporal Payne, Detective Payne, now works for the University of Idaho, and the chief there, Fry as well. And so you have all. You're absolutely right. And what did they do? Well, there's short-term memory, and you have a lot of turnover in college, and so they erased the memory of the place by tearing down the house, and they have now had. I mean, this happened in 2022. You know, how many years do students attend there on average? Maybe 4 tops, 2 years. Some people attend 2 years somewhere else and then go finish 2 years there. And so it's 2020 going into 2026. So how many students are still attending there that were there when this occurred? I mean, you're looking at some very young freshmen at the time of 2022 when this occurred. And I mean, I know that Bethany and Dylan were fairly young. But everybody else was already getting kind of closer to graduating. So all their friends and loved ones would probably be along the same, plane as well, getting close to graduating and have already graduated. And so that's how they've been able to get away from the memory of this horrific thing, is to completely shut it out, tear down the house, don't talk about it. I know they put out a memorial for them, and that was awesome. But you know, they don't want any memory of what occurred there. So they even went to the point of tearing it down before the trial started. So
That
I mean,
was
that's
crazy. But it's
yeah,
like out of sight, out of mind. And but they also had the triplets, so the the other two that were going there. So I do think in that sense, like I could see how Hunter and Maisie didn't want to walk past that every day. But for the sake of getting justice for Ethan, I don't know that it was the best idea. I mean, they didn't want to go into trial anyway, but they didn't know that was
yeah,
going to happen.
true. And then they brought up some pictures. Let's look at some of these pictures. I want to say thank you to Casey as well, for being a member as well. And so we have some pictures. Let's look at these pictures real quick. And one of the things, and we're going to start off with this one because this is the one where the cosplay comes in. He was watching this, and then it says, I think 2 days later. So he apparently he didn't have a black enough hoodie. He goes out there and buys this one. And I have mixed all the selfies together. So from all of the docuseries, including the one that was on ABC, some of them are from Dateline, some of them are from other series. These are all of the selfies that he took.
Wow.
And so this is one of them that is closer. Same image.
He looks so creepy.
He does. He looks like a vampire. I've been saying that for a while. He looks like a freaking vampire.
Wait, this is the one that you were like, wait, what? I don't. All right. So I think of all of the pictures, this one, he looks like this is the one I could see him putting on like his Tinder profile or something. Like I felt like he looked the most like studious here, even though he does look a little creepy, but like his eyes are blue here. So I feel like in some of them, you guys, his eyes are like black. Like they're literally his whole pupil, I feel like. So I don't know, but I mean, he looks creepy either way, but I feel like of all of them, this one, he looked somewhat normal. And in this one, if you go close, it looks like he has his eyebrows done.
It does look like he has his eyebrows
Like
done.
1,000%. They're definitely look waxed.
I think this is the one that he looks most likely like a Spanish soap opera superstar.
Yeah.
You know, creepy though.
Yes, exactly.
But look at this. I wonder if this is the same type of sweater that or hoodie that he wore, because look at how high up the neck that goes.
Yeah, and I'm sure I took that into consideration.
And see, these are some other pictures that had just came out. And he looks pretty upset here. This is the black WSU sweatshirt. He's got the headphones on. And apparently he never sent any of these out to anybody. These were all for him. He
only had 18 contacts. Who was he sending it to?
Domino's. Could you imagine? He's sending pictures of sending pictures to the restaurants. This one, he looks like he's on something, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, he does, but I don't know if he's like doing that on purpose. But why else would I don't know? He does definitely look like he's on something, especially there. Like he looks like he's talking to himself, or like he looks like he's trying to talk to someone else, but there's nobody there.
And this was on November 27th, and so this is.
No, that's my wedding anniversary.
Oh, geez. Well, you. Hope you don't even hope this doesn't remind you of that.
Yeah, whatever.
And so this is some more images of him in the WSU, December 21st.
He looks somewhat normal there. I know you're going to think I'm crazy for saying that.
I mean, I don't think he doesn't look normal. He just looks like he's like ready to go burglarize somebody's house dressed in all black. But he doesn't look like a psychopath in this image.
I feel like he would fit in where we're from, though. Like, I feel like he looks very fitting for where he's from. So it's not even what he's wearing. It's just the fact that he's like cosplaying. That's
true. And this one, I put these together too. It appears he was, I don't know, dropped his phone or something accidentally. Maybe accidentally.
Nah, he did that on purpose. That's a purposeful photo.
He's always trying to look off into the distance and be stoic or something, you know.
Almost as if somebody else captured the photo of him like looking out into the world. Yeah. But look at it. Look here. His eyes are so blue here. And then if we pull up some of the other ones and zoom in, his eyes, like here, his eyes look darker here.
Yeah. This is after a short a haircut. The shirts kind of look the same. I don't know if it's the same day, you know, a little bit later.
Now this one is crazy.
You think he kept the pants?
I don't know. Like, why would you take a picture of this? It like shows like his muffin top.
Well, I think he was trying to see if he fits in these pants
And
and
he
was
looks like
checking
he
out
does it
himself.
and he's upset about it, which if he has an eating disorder, still, you know, even like when you don't have an eating disorder anymore, you still have, it's almost like when you're an addict, you still have the, you know, thought process, even afterward, you just don't use anymore. It's that same type of thing with eating disorder. So chances are, if these didn't fit and he bought them thinking that they should fit or would fit, or maybe they would have fit a few weeks before that, but he gained some weight. But he looks like here, like he looks like disgusted in the fact that he doesn't fit his pants. But I think it's a crazy picture to take.
What song do you think he's listening to?
I was just going to say, why does he always have these headbuds in, like earbuds? Why isn't he like, I don't know. I put it on a speaker.
I'm going with Britney Spears. Not
I was
Little
just
Woman.
going to say probably the Britney Spears song.
But do you think he purchased these online and is trying them on? Why wouldn't he try them on at the store?
They look like they look more. That looked like a Target type thing. I don't know. Maybe because maybe again, maybe his self-esteem, or you know, he thinks that like, oh, these are going to fit me, and then gets home and they don't. Just like he's smarter than everyone, and then but he's not.
Yeah, it looks like he got some really tight pants.
Really tight. Like he literally, I don't even like he did himself no justice by taking that picture. I don't know.
Yeah, like I mean that looks uncomfortably tight.
I look like his butt crack's about to come out.
It does. I mean, he's got a gap in between his legs. That's how tight his
I
damn
know, right? I
pants
didn't even
are.
notice that his legs. It's like it looks like he's got Spanx on.
Is he wearing women's pants?
They almost look like it.
I don't
Because
know
the
any
waist
guys'
isn't
pants
very
that
high.
do that.
I was just gonna say because women's pants, we have like low-rise jeans. Like they literally look like low-rise jeans. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And you're right. I don't think my husband's pants like get snug anywhere like that.
Not like that. I mean, I'm from Texas. We wear some Wranglers and stuff, and it's not. It don't look like that. At least I don't think so. Maybe you'll see a picture of me like this in this pose, checking out the back of my pants now.
Oh my gosh! Now that you say it, like it literally looks like there's no room for his like family jewels.
Yeah, no, there isn't. And like I'm saying, I think
Oh my
these
gosh, they look like girl pants now.
they look like girl pants.
Even the butt thing, how it goes in a V. I don't feel like boys' pants do that.
Yeah, you're right. He's got a narrow urethra. A good old Hank Hill.
Yeah, the hipsters. That's so funny. He's wearing low-rise hipsters.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's wearing some jeggings or something. What are those called? Those jean leggings?
Yeah,
leggings?
They're not jeggings. These look like they have a zip up in the front, and he's just upset that they don't fit him.
I mean, I would be upset if I was wearing something that tight too. Maybe that's why that face is like that.
Seriously, I don't even know why he tried to button it. Like, take them off. You know, they had to be snug by the time they got to like his knees. He does look like he gained some weight here, and I don't think that it's a bad thing. Trust me, I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying, like, if anything, he looks healthier here than he does in some of the other pictures. I feel like the one where I said that it looked like his Reddit type thing, I feel like in that one, he starts to look like gaunt, like he does in the one where he's real skinny and like his mouth looks real small. Over here, I feel like he's at least filled out a little bit. But
is it me or does his eyes look a little bit dilated? They're not, the little black part don't look as like a dot like the other ones do.
Well, that's what I mean. They're like darker here, where some of them, they're like really light. So I just feel like he always looks so different. Yeah, what's this? They scars.
Well, this looks weird. Like it looks right here like there's some patching. I thought maybe this one looks like a scar, but I was thinking maybe this was alopecia.
Huh. Maybe.
And I know I've looked into it because I know it's like a genetic thing in certain places. Like in full disclosure, I have some of that sometimes that happens in the back of my head too. And what do you call it? It would get really bad when I was stressed out. And then it would go away if I wasn't stressed. Like if I was having like if I was just cool, calm, like if I had nothing stressing me out, it would go away. But if I stressed out, it would come back. I haven't had it in years. I don't know if that's something that goes away. But when I was younger, it looked like somebody freaking hit me with the clippers on the back. That's what it looked like.
I was just gonna say, do you think he took this photo because he thinks that like whoever did his hair messed up his picture, or I mean his hair, or do you think he knows that He
I think
has
he
like,
knows this, and I
gotcha.
think he was trying to cover it up with his fade, which is what I did too. I'll be honest. I had it like right down here at the lower part of the back of my head, and I used to wear high and tight, and then when I got in the military, it didn't matter, so I was high and tight anyways. After that, but that's kind of what it looks like to me. But I could be 100% wrong. This could be a scar and a scar, and I could just be the way the picture looks. You know what I
His
mean?
headphones look so uncomfortable.
These
They don't go in the ear; they go like around the ear.
interesting.
You
So if
see
he's
that? They like
autistic,
wrap around the back and then they like lay on the front.
right? If he's autistic, isn't that like an ear sensitivity part of being autistic?
So it's funny that you say that. So I have them and I have the ones that you put in your ears because I don't always love when they're like right in your ears. But I feel like if anything, we would like you would wear the like the Beats type headphones before you would wear this. They're actually very uncomfortable when you wear them. Like after a while, they like give you a headache. They like push your ear out. So I'm actually surprised now that I see that he's wearing them.
Yeah.
But I also don't think he's autistic, so I'm not really that surprised.
Now, for some reason, I know he could just be in a dark room. I mean, this is his restroom, it looks like. But I felt like this was at night. A lot of his pictures that we're going to see upcoming are going to be of him hiking. Some folks have seen him walking into the trail while the sun is already setting. All of the pictures that have been released have been during the day. So if he is going out there at night, I mean, not saying he doesn't have any pictures of himself at night out there. It sounds like there's a lot of pictures missing, but this one kind of felt like it was at night, just because it looks kind of dark around it. He's wearing
in
like
the bathroom again. Like, what the heck with the bathroom?
That's his favorite place.
Seriously?
He's got a little bit of stubble, a little bit of facial hair in this picture. So I thought maybe this was after the murders, because I think that there's been a few folks who have come forward that had classes with him say that he had some stubble growing after the murders, and then before that he was always clean shaven. But I mean, I don't know how fast he can grow facial hair or not. That's not a lot. That could be a 5 o'clock shadow for somebody. You know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely right. He looks better with a little
It's
bit.
not on his neck.
I don't know. This reminds me, like with Elliot Rodger, that like it's not that he's I almost just said it's not that he's a bad looking person, and then you flip to this photo and that this is not a great photo of him. But I feel like he could if he went to somebody and was like, you know, what should I wear, or like how should I style myself? Like I feel like there were things that he could have done. So it just really shows how much of this has to do with his shitty personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, look at this picture.
Check this out. All that sweat. He's out there doing something in the middle of nowhere, working it up. But look at the shirt. And that shirt. Is that the same shirt?
He definitely wore it better in the other one. Yeah, it's the same shirt.
And then you got all the sweat or some kind of wetness on the.
It's so weird. Let me pull this off.
There you go.
Some of his photos, like, I don't know. I feel like he just looks so different in his photos. It's crazy to me how he looks so, like, some of them don't even look like they're the same person or at the same age, at least. Like this one and the one before it, they look like they were taken at different years, not like different weeks.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so many that make him look different. This is the same video. He's all sweaty, so he's at home. You know, he outside of the stubble here, you know, the shirt looks very similar.
Oh, it's definitely the shirt.
And then, but I don't know if he doesn't have any facial hair. He's completely
no, definitely doesn't have facial hair there. No, he looks better with facial hair.
And then here he is at home taking his pictures. He's got the seat down, probably an indication of growing up with his sisters. You know, that's And then you got the you look like he was out. I think this is right after this, after he's been out there for a while.
Yeah, because his hair's longer.
Yeah. And then. See, that
is so creepy right there. That is one of the creepiest photos I think I've ever seen of him. I don't think I've seen this one. Yeah. I don't know.
What makes you creeped out about this one? Because
his smile, he's got contempt. That's contempt. So that's different than happiness or like joy. Like that, those like the dimple, like That's contempt right there. So that's like, I know a little bit more than you know. Think about when you lied to your mom as like a teen, not like a big lie, but like you and your friend like came home at 11:15, not 11 o'clock, and you guys got
Yeah.
over on her. Like that type of lie where later on you're, you know, and they're like, did you lie to me? And you're like, no. And you get that like goofy smile. That's what he's doing here. That's contempt. And it just freaks me out because I feel like I'm curious what date this was. Like if this was post or pre.
Yeah. Or what he was doing around this time, if it was pre. And shower curtain in the back. And you can kind of see there's actually an inner curtain as well. You see this?
Oh yeah, there is. The clear one. You're right.
The clear one is right there. So he's got a shower curtain and an inner clear curtain as well.
Ew, he looks like he knows, like he's like excited about either something he did or something he's about to do.
Eyes are dark too.
So dark.
Look at how big the pupils are.
And his eyebrows. Look at them bushy eyebrows.
That's true.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's getting really skinny there. Like, do you see how like in the one I said he looks like he was like healthier? Like now I feel like he looks like he's getting very skinny. So I'm curious at like the time difference because there's not a whole lot of time that passes. And could this be after he tries the jeans on and they don't fit? Because if you have an eating disorder, I could see something like that jean incident pushing, like setting him back as far as an eating disorder. Because now he starts, like if you look at him, he looks so light here, like even like his complexion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he definitely does. I got that warning label, Nina. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He looks a lot thinner here. That picture of him in the jeans may have pushed him this way. You're absolutely right. That's a great observation.
And even his complexion, like he looks like gray, like when you don't get enough nutrition.
Mm-hmm. And here's another one of his fabulous pictures.
He actually looks healthy, where like the one we just showed, he looks totally different. Like, so just the difference here, like I wonder how far apart this is. Like he looks happy there, where the other one, he looks like contempt. So they're both smiles, but they're both very different emotions.
I wonder what mountain that is and what body of water this is.
Great call.
I wonder what that is. Because that's what he's putting in the background. That's why he's so far off to the right, is so that you can capture this mountain in the background.
I love that you pick up on that stuff.
Oh, I pick up on details. It's a gift and a curse.
I pick up on details like that are like for like psychological reasons, but not stuff like this. So that's amazing. Could that be Mount Rainier?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna assume this is a big assumption.
Somewhere that he hid something or like.
Well, I mean, if this is in Pullman, Washington, I mean, we got to figure out when this is, right? It looks fairly green in the background, right along the fence line. It looks warm outside based off of like his skin tone, his skin color, the sun. But this could be cold and we just don't know it. It just doesn't feel like it's cold out right now. So this would have to be pretty high elevation. It is further up north. So I'm going to guess this is at the Walleye Park, the pool there.
Which might be somewhere that he went and like hid something or something. And like maybe this is him smiling, like put that in the background so that when he looks at this picture, it reminds him of that.
It could be. It could be.
Ugh. Oh, here we go.
Now, he never sent these to anybody. This is all for his own self.
Again, I don't think that was a horrible picture. Now this one is. So like, but do you see how like it's the same shirt? Is that the same shirt as the one you just had right before?
Let's see. It's Under Armour.
I think. Oh, I don't know.
I can't tell. I think it is. It looks the same color.
But yes, I think it is. So if that's the same day and it's just different, in the one I almost said he looks like somewhat normal, and then you go to this next one and he looks like somebody that you would say like swipe left, like don't go out with him.
He looks like an evil Ben Stiller.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's funny. He does.
Like Ben Stiller's evil twin.
But look, his eyes are dark there too.
They are.
And
but his eyes are
contempt again. Look at that smile. You see like the little creases right here? That's contempt. Is the shower curtains both still there? Oh, look at that. I hate that.
The shower curtain is there. And yeah, he's there with the thumb trying to make a muscular bicep
oh my gosh,
there.
you're right. He's trying to flex.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Stacy goes, I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Seriously.
Thank you, Stacy, for your support.
Oh well. I don't think I saw all of these because I don't remember this one.
Sandy Little became the newest member. Thank you, Sandy. And Casey a little while ago.
Oh look, he like gelled his hair here and stuff.
And again, mountain in the background.
Oh yeah, that's very telling. It's a totally different shirt or whatever, and we know that he likes to hike, but I bet you there's significance to it.
It's a pretty area.
It really is.
I wonder where that's at.
But again, he's got contempt here too.
Because I mean, that doesn't look. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I'm not from the area. That looks more westernly than what I've seen in Idaho and the Pullman area. Like this looks more towards the coast of Washington.
Well, he was in the by the water in that one picture. So does anybody in chat know? Maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, this looks more like the mountains out there by in the west part of Washington.
So what would that be like? What could be
like Rainier?
So that's
like the places where Bundy visited.
Yes, that's what I said the first time. Is that Mount Rainier? Because it kind of reminded me. And remember, why would he also want to take that picture? Because they have a mural of it in his basement.
Well, that's not Rainier. That's Shaw something. I was gonna say, do you think it could be the one that's in his basement?
Is it that other? Is that a different one? That's not Mount Rainier in his basement.
No, it's like Shaka Khan or something. It's not Shaka Khan.
I remember somebody
it's something like that.
I feel like somebody then looked up Mount Rainier and that one, and it looked like it could have been either. But either way, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, because I've looked it up. It was, there you go, salmon.
Lake Salmonish. So, Nina, do you think that could be where this is right here, or do you think it could be Mount Rainier?
Either way, both places, whether it was Rainier or the one that Nina mentioned, Ted Bundy had left victims there. There it is, Mount Shushkan. I told you it was like almost like Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan. That's funny.
Shakasan. And so that's the actual one. In fact, let me pull that up so I can show you guys. I'll pull that up just real fast.
I wonder. Well, you said he didn't send these to anyone. I was going to say, I wonder if he sent that to like his mom.
No, he supposedly kept them all to himself.
What about like when they said that his mom, that like he would send her a text like, "Mother, where's father?" And she would be like, "Bryan, your dad's in the garage."
Yes,
like,
that was part
crazy?
of it too.
Like how she responded. So she wasn't like, "Father is in the garage." Like, I thought that was weird. Not weird, but I thought that was interesting that he called the mother and father. But even in one where they said the dad responds to him, where he's like, "Father, where's mother?" He responds to dad by saying like, "Oh, mom is da-da-da." And the mom says like, "Dad is in the garage working." So I just thought that it was interesting that the mom and dad say mom and dad, and he says mother and father.
Yeah. See, this is it. And you can tell because when you look at it, it has this point. And then it even has these trees that are sticking out to the side.
So wait, which one is this?
The Shaka Khan. I'm just going to call it Shaka Khan. That's what's going to happen.
Down. That works. Wow.
Shaka Khan's probably a harder word to say than this.
No, guess what? It looks like it, doesn't it?
It does. This is exactly the mural that he has on his mom's wall.
Which is so weird.
Yeah, it is. And apparently I think there was two of Ted Bundy's victims that were found there.
That's what I mean. I feel like this is something that he like bonds with his mom.
But this mountain here looks kind of flat, almost like a volcano type top.
What does Rainier look like? Because he didn't have on the same shirt in both of them.
No, he didn't. This is different. But let me go back to that one. That one just kind of looks like mountains at a distance. You can't really tell anything from that one. This one here, let me see what Rainier looks like.
crazy.
He's at one of them. I don't know where he's at, but he's at.
Yeah, I don't know.
That could be Rainier. You know, that kind of looks like it, to be honest with you.
That was my initial instinct when I saw it.
Because it looks somewhat like, I mean, obviously not from this angle, but it kind of like has that flat top at the top, like almost volcano-like.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, the peak could be behind his head. That's possible. That one might be at Lake Tahoe. I'm in Washington. What's going on? Which one does it look like to you, Genio? I hope I said your name right.
No, but that's exactly, we have to ask someone that would know.
Yeah.
But either way, like you said, it's still like it has like a different significance to him than somebody maybe hiking there because it's just beautiful. Like I feel like to him, it wasn't about the beauty as much as it was about the meaning.
Yeah. And see, this one's Rainier, and it could be. I mean, I have no idea. It could be just one of the ones that are there. You know what I'm saying? This is a little bit of speculation here on our part.
No, it totally is. But like we said, no matter which one it is. So, and this part isn't speculation, no matter what it is, it's something symbolic to him, right? So whether it's Rainier or Chaka Kong or, you know, the other one, the Wawawi or wherever, it's just the point that you could tell that this has significance to him in some way.
And somebody's saying like the Olympic Mountains out there in Washington. It could be. I mean, I think these are definitely out there in the Pacific Northwest. But I mean, it's just a lot of greenery. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't remind me of the Palouse area. That's just what I'm trying to say. Is it doesn't remind me of the Palouse area.
I'm not familiar, so.
And so this is what some folks were wondering. I don't even know why I put that one in there, but this is another one. Look at the peaks in the background there.
Like I feel like he's looking. I don't know. I feel like he like looks away. I don't know. Like there's significance here to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those mountains are. But do you think he could be? No, I don't know. He seemed like he was a guy that did go out and hike a lot, even in Pennsylvania. He got locked in a national forest once, or in one of the parks there, because he was out there for too long, and they ended up closing it. But my other thoughts were: do you think he may have taken these pictures as a way of? I mean, he didn't do anything with these pictures. Do you think he could be trying to throw law enforcement off by posting these pictures of these random areas in case they came across him and they wanted to search where he's been?
No, I think he really is taking like shots that like are reminding him of something. I feel like here it looks like he's cosplaying Superman. Doesn't he? Like he's like got his neck turned. I feel like he's like trying to make his neck look big.
Yeah. This one looks creepy. He looks super skinny here. He looks like he's on something. His eyes look beady. Look real tiny.
He's definitely like, I don't know, like in like a, like I feel like he goes from like one to the, like not personalities. They won't be separate personalities. It's all the same. But he goes from like where, and again, do we know if it's substance related or is it just, you know, his thought process changing and he's in his fantasy world? But he definitely looks like he made a switch here.
Yeah. Wearing dark clothing, but he has a blue button up underneath. A little bit of stubble on his face and in his neck. This looks like it's at night. You know, that's the 5 o'clock shadow that he's probably got after a full day.
He looks like he got hit in the nose.
He does. Another picture of him in a button-up shirt.
So, but in this one, look, he looks like thicker again. Like he literally keeps going from like a thicker to thinner. But I don't know. Could it just be that the pictures are out of order? Maybe.
That could be. This is also him looking down. So, especially him having like lost a lot of weight, he's probably got some loose skin that's coming up from gravity. And he wants the tree in the background with him.
Yes, that's what I mean. I feel like these are symbolic to him.
What do you think this one is?
Him trying to be like his like fantasy creepy version of a mixture of Ted Bundy and American Psycho. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, this is probably after a late night run, and I'm assuming
There's
this is
definitely a filter.
well. I mean, he's got some moisture underneath his nose.
Right, which reminds me of American Psycho, but then it's like got that like darkness around it that reminds me of Ted Bundy.
Yeah, and then I wonder if he was out doing something he wasn't supposed to and almost got caught, and is freaking out or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe not freaking out, but like, man, the guy came close. Adrenaline kicking in, things like that. But I mean, it seems to sweat a lot. Are you surprised that there wasn't a lot of sweat at the scene?
And yes, but no. I am surprised, but I'm not surprised only because he took classes on how to mitigate those things. So I feel like he like had that well thought out. And I am surprised though because everybody says like you can't commit a crime anymore in 2025 because you always leave things behind, and it's like, but he didn't. Do you think if like didn't the FBI come out and like take evidence too? Like I always wonder, like did they miss something? Because you could only like I would assume that there has to be evidence that's missed in crime scenes because how are you going to see everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible they overlook something and miss something. Given how they've presented things and gone through things, I would not be surprised. And
Me
I'll
either.
explain that here in a little bit. I don't feel like they even have an understanding of what happened that night, which is beyond me. It is beyond me how they do not have an understanding of the events that occurred. And I'll explain that here in a little bit when we talk about the ISP lieutenant lead investigator for the Idaho State Police. He was interviewed quite a bit of times, and he was talking about, how they made, who made entry and what time he may have made entry, and, that they go to the first, the third floor, and they don't know why that Xana gets up and maybe perhaps she hears something. And I'm like, man, the answers are there within the statements, within everything. And this is why I also, and I'll bring it up now because right here, boom, this is from the body cam footage. This is the officer that arrived on scene. This is the moment when they discover Maddie and Kaylee deceased in the next room. And this is Kaylee's room with her door open already. So a lot of people have been whining and complaining, saying, no, that door was closed. When police got there, they had to open it. No, they didn't. This is a still image from the body cam from the officer that arrived there. This is the first time he is walking up the stairs to where Maddie and Kaylee are. And as you can see, the door is wide open. And so, the reason why I bring that up is because he says that they believe that Bryan Kohberger went in there around 4:10, which I think is inaccurate. And that they don't know why Xana went up there. Well, we have a few things that we know. One of the things that we know is that Dylan reported multiple times that she heard who she thought was Kaylee playing on the second floor with Maddie, and then she could hear music and the dog barking and jumping. What that most likely was Murphy having come downstairs because he can't be there unless he came downstairs. And now we have a door open, and this is how he got downstairs. So Bryan Kohberger opens the door, doesn't see Kaylee in there. That tells me that the first door that he tried to open was Kaylee's. So he goes up there, opens the first door on the third floor, Kaylee's door. Nobody's inside. There's a good possibility that either Murphy was on the floor asleep, or he just didn't see the dog, or maybe the dog was sleeping in its kennel with the kennel door open, just kind of sleeping in there. And that door was behind this door when it's opened, or that kennel is behind this door when it's open, so it would be blocked from your view. So what probably occurred here, and I know it's a little bit of speculation as well, however, you have evidence to back it up, is that Murphy had to have gone downstairs at some point. What Dylan misheard of her thinking Kaylee's playing with Murphy is probably Murphy unwillingly wanting to go up the stairs after just coming down the stairs, and Xana's trying to get him to go. Now, that's probably what Bryan Kohberger heard. Now, he's in Maddie's room. He's in the process of taking their lives. He wasn't in there very long, because if he opened the door first, he had about as much time for Murphy to get up, go down the stairs, interrupt Xana, Xana get out of bed and take him up the stairs. We're looking at a matter of a minute and a half tops that he was in that room.
Crazy.
And so he left Kaylee disfigured, unfortunately. And it was dark. And if he assumed that the person coming up the stairs was Kaylee because Murphy was with her, which would have been a plausible assumption, he probably didn't know that it was Kaylee in Maddie's bed. Why would he think it was Kaylee in Maddie's bed? Kaylee has her own bed on the same floor. This most likely, I mean, if you're thinking logically and you're trying to put things in your head really fast and really quickly, who's this person sleeping next to her? This could be another roommate in the house. This could be a family member that's been visiting since parents' weekend, the weekend before. This could be a best friend of hers. This could be another friend of hers that lives outside of the house. It could be a number of people.
Don't you think, though, once he saw like the dark hair that he knew?
I mean, why would he think it's automatically Kaylee? Kaylee has her own bed in her own room on the same floor.
No, not that, Xana. Like when
Xana?
Yeah.
That's the other thing,
then I
too.
guess by then it's too late. Like he's already going to get her because she sees him.
Right. And I mean, that's the other thing, too. It's dark and he supposedly has visual snow.
Well, didn't he say that there was lights on?
Somebody, Bethany said that she thinks that there could have been a Sensi light on, emitting a light on the floor, which is why she could see Xana on the ground. She wasn't able to see a lot of detail, like blood and things of that nature. So it tells me it's most likely going to be a night light like that from a Sensi. Because if it was like a bedroom light or any of those things, I strongly suspect she's going to see a lot more than just her on the ground, possibly asleep.
That's true.
You know, and so she runs down the stairs and she says, you know, throughout her conversation, you know what, it could have been this light that we have that's close to the ground. It's plugged in. It's like a light warmer or whatever, candle warmer. And so to me, I just like, man, you have the evidence there. You know that there's no blood on Kaylee's door. So you know that that's the door he had to have opened first. There's blood not all over the place, but there's a somewhat of a trail leading where he went. You have blood on Maddie's door. You have blood on the beer pong table. You have blood on the hallway. You have drips on the hallway heading towards Xana's room. You also have on the door frame where there was a smudge of blood as well. So you can see where he was going from one spot to another. He's not touching very many things, but he is leaving evidence behind of his trail.
You're right. One of the things, real quick, Dan, do you remember them saying that Xana had on her watch and that's how they knew she went upstairs? I feel like a few times ago we were saying, how do we know she went upstairs? But I think that is one thing that I did notice on there that I felt like they validated was that because she had her watch on, they were able to tell if she went up the steps or not. So I think you could say now that we know that she did go up the steps.
I agree. And they also mentioned how, hold on, I have it right here. Oh, that they likely believe that Kaylee and Maddie were killed very, very quickly. And so if we go backwards and we deduce when is the altercation heard on the audio from 50 feet away, that's at 4:17. And so if Maddie and Kaylee were killed very quickly, that doesn't mean that he got in that house at 4:10. That's 7 minutes. That's not quickly. Yeah, and especially if he's interrupted and then chasing Xana, right? It's not like he went up there, took their lives, had 5 minutes to just chill out there and hang out before Xana came up the stairs.
What was the time? What was the time on this or on the camera outside that we see him last?
So he pulls into the back area roughly at 4:08. Now, when he's leaving, we know that Dylan calls, she calls Bethany at 4:20 to say that she had just seen somebody. So about 4:19 and maybe 40 seconds. And he isn't seen leaving the area until 4:20 and 50 seconds. So it took him close to 2 minutes to get out of the house, undressed, in the car, and then leaving at a high rate of speed. My guess is that he was faster getting out of there than arriving. I think that when he pulled up, he probably looked around a little bit and took his time to get dressed, make sure he covered everything. And I think that's what took a little bit longer for him to get into the house, but it still took him 2 minutes to get out of the house and on the road. And if he's moving with more of a purpose on the way out, I would assume it would have taken him a lot longer than 2 minutes to get in from when he parked. And so to me, I think he's in that house around 4:12, 4:13.
That makes sense. I can't believe that this all happened that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, those things happen very quickly. You know, I mean, it doesn't take very long for somebody to lose their life, unfortunately, when it comes to a knife.
It's like, right. It's like in the matter, like you could talk to somebody and 10 minutes later, like God forbid, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know if it was just him getting dressed, making sure nobody else is driving around. The DoorDasher had just left, you know, maybe perhaps he's got a little bit of hesitation. We know that on the Linda Lane footage, when he pulls up in front of the camera after 4:04, after the DoorDasher's left, and after I'm assuming that the light that was indicating the DoorDasher where the house was has now turned off, that he even is hesitant there. He pulls in, he parks for like 11 seconds before he puts it back in reverse and does something different than what he did. He went back the other way, and then he tries to park in front of the house or do something.
Yeah, but
and
is he hesitant? Does that mean that he's hesitant though?
I don't know if he's hesitant. I think he's nervous, and he's you know, I know
he's excited, and I think he's just like, I think he's excited. I don't think he's nervous. I don't think he has that same anxiety that you or I would have. I think he could get scared afterwards, like thinking, did somebody call the cops on me and stuff? But I think if anything, he was excited, and he was just like getting his last minute things together, like, you know, making sure he has whatever he needed type thing. And who knows, he probably didn't drive around with a mask on, so that probably didn't go on until after he parked, because you would assume that that would look weird to somebody if you have a balaclava on in your car. So he probably didn't put that on until and the gloves, who knows, he might not have put that on until he got there either, or his last set of, I mean, so we don't know. He might have needed a minute or so to get ready, and that could be the delay too.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be. There definitely could have been those moments. You know, I think maybe perhaps he could have just been hesitant because there was noise in the area.
If anything, that makes sense. That makes sense more so than like anxiety about doing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, he's heard some things. You know, there's people that are out and about. There's people that are awake. Not very many, but there are people that are awake during this time. And so, you know, I think that maybe he's just making sure that no one's coming around the corner. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what I think. But whatever the case may be, I don't think he gets in that house until 4:12, 4:13, and, you know, is up the stairs opening Xana's door around 4:15. And then Murphy runs downstairs, because I'm assuming he's not going slow. You know what I mean? I'm assuming that trip from Murphy down to Xana's room is fairly quick. And then, you know, he alerts Xana. Now, Xana getting out of bed and taking, you know, Murphy up the stairs probably going to take a little bit longer, you know, but it's a small house. It's not very big. So it shouldn't have been very long for her to get up and move with Murphy up the stairs. So to me, I just felt like overall it's all explainable with the evidence that's there. And yet they take this cop out. Oh, we just know he went upstairs. Somebody was his target.
Wasn't one of the cops walking up the third floor, like with his hands on the railing?
What do you mean? With his hands?
Like
what?
he had like his hands, like he was like using the railing going up to the third floor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
They made a lot of mistakes.
Even like, I thought that it was crazy that they even let Hunter go back in.
Yeah, they did. They did.
I thought that was weird. Like, what's he going to do? Show them where they are? Like, just go up the steps and turn. You'll see them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I almost felt like that almost like re-victimized or re-traumatized him. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now he had to go back up and like, what, show them?
Yeah, exactly. And see what he saw again, all over again.
Yeah, for like the third time, I think, because he went up the first time. And then I think,
then he left.
Yeah, then he went up
back
again. And now, right, yeah.
I wanted to include this image here from the Dateline because there's been, hold on one second, I got to sneeze.
Ooh, you guys, guess what's not on this right now? Why he sneezes? That thing in the front.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. So this is the Washington plate. This is when this is the first time when he got to Pullman, he took a picture of his car without a front license plate. And then after he gets his Washington plates, he takes a picture of the plates on there. And as you can see, that deflector is not there.
That's so interesting.
And the Washington plates came November 18th, so after the murders.
How convenient.
I wanted to show you this. Let me pause this because I know you can't hear it. Let me remove this because last time we had you on, we were talking about this, and you were mentioning that that you thought there were some symbols that were percentages. It ends up being Korean language,
and it means knife.
Yes, it means knife.
Well,
and so what do you think about this? Let's we've already played it. It says Bryan in Korean, and then it says Kohberger in Korean. And then it says Cal, and then next to it in Korean it says knife. What do you take out of that?
I take out of that he might have used like the excuse that it was a short, thing to write in Korean. I don't know, but it clearly shows what's in his thought process. Like I might have written hello or happy or, you know what I mean? So I think it's just telling what he's thinking about.
I found it interesting that he wrote it in English. The CAL. He wrote how to pronounce it in English, CAL.
Oh, I thought that's how you wrote it in Korean.
No, he wrote CAL, and then next to it he wrote the Korean symbols for knife.
Oh, okay. Oh, so what do you think about that?
So it tells me he was trying to learn how to say it. He was trying to pronounce it. He was I wonder why.
You know what I found?
I mean, obviously I think we know why, but
you know what I found interesting? He puts the brackets on it, which means emphasize.
Interesting.
So he put an emphasis on it, which like he already you really needed an emphasis on that. So, but that was interesting to me that there was an emphasis on it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the two things that I picked up. I didn't know if those were emphasis or part of the Korean symbols, but they do look like emphasis. They look like
brackets,
not parentheses, but brackets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and there's some other stuff that is blocked out. Obviously, a lot of people are looking at this as possibly being from Nayoung Ko, his PhD student. I mean, I don't think it was, I think colleague is a better word for that.
Yeah, college, peer, cohort.
Yeah, and on here it says, take it easy, don't give up. You think he wrote that or she did?
She probably did.
Yeah. You think he was giving up on something?
No, that was probably more for the students.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that he was like a very hard grader and stuff. So that was probably her saying like just keep going. That's just how I took it. It could mean for him, but I don't know that she would have put that message up there for him. But it is interesting though that he asks her how to write something in Korean and he picks knife.
Yeah. Yeah. In the Docuseries, they brought up some of the folks from Othram and the DNA that had that captured Bryan Kohberger. And I'm going to bring up this article. This is the Idaho killer left behind, catastrophic evidence that was fast-tracked to his capture, investigators reveal. It goes on to say that it was a catastrophic deal, said the founder of Othram, and that this was the DNA that was left on the knife sheath. And this is why the defense didn't want to talk about it. He goes on to say, and they say it in the document too, it was more than trace DNA. The DNA evidence. Some random song going on in my ear. All right, it's an ad. Let me stop this. There it is, because it's like bothering me. All right, there you go. So it goes, the DNA evidence was amazing. David Middleman said, there was tons of DNA, by the way. I don't know why it's being reported. It was trace DNA. It was not. It was a ton of DNA. And in the docuseries, it goes on to say that that was, let me pull up the exact numbers. I think it was 500 times more DNA than any low quantity DNA cases that they have done. So it was not trace amount. And that they were able to find relatives of his through Othram in Pennsylvania but needed more work. And that's when the FBI got involved, went through their channels, and ended up getting Bryan Kohberger. But given the amount of DNA that was left behind, it doesn't seem like he cleaned it very well. So I doubt that he left it on purpose. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. But wait, I'm like still stuck on the fact that there wasn't a lot of DNA. So why?
There was a lot of DNA.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. So why did Anne make all of that fuss that it was Tracy? Like it was like she made such a big fuss as if like they'd had nothing and that it was one tiny little. I wonder, like, how did she get away with that whole argument?
I mean, I guess depending on who you are, I mean, something could be bigger to you than small to others. I have no idea, but yeah, it's a perspective, I guess.
Yes, isn't that crazy, right? Because they made it seem like it was literally the tiniest of samples.
Exactly, and that was not at all.
Wow.
And they go on to say that, let's see. And I'm glad you brought up the steps, because that was the next point I was going to talk about when it came to Xana. They believe that Xana may have heard the commotion. I think eventually she did, and she got the eerie feeling. I think there may have been, I personally think there was some sort of interaction on the stairway, because she runs to Ethan. Murphy don't follow her. Murphy runs outside. We know that because Murphy's outside barking. So, to me, that tells me they both got spooked. Let's see. Next page.
Yeah, she probably got scared to death when she saw somebody with a mask upstairs.
Yeah. The folks from Cellbrite, the Barnharts, come out and they said that Bryan Kohberger didn't go to sleep after the murders. He spoke on the phone with his mom quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, I had a question. So they were talking about Dylan being, going out, looking out, and seeing him making eye contact. Do you think it's possible that Dylan spared her on purpose?
That's a great question. You mean, did Bryan spare her on purpose?
Yeah, Did Bryan spare her on purpose?
Right. I know what you meant. So
for a witness purpose.
So I think that that's a great point. So it's always been my opinion that either one, he didn't see her because he was looking down at the step because he didn't want to trip, or he wanted to be the arbiter of life and death, and therefore he winds up letting her live. Which, if you think about it, right, one of the things for this person, he's very sadistic. So one of the things that he loves is seeing that fear in other people's eyes. So the fact that he leaves her alive, but to where she sees him, I mean, you saw it when she did her statement. She straight said, like, she'll never be the same. She couldn't even breathe when she was speaking. So I feel like that was, like, if he did do that on purpose, it was clearly to, so that she'd be in fear forever. And also that she was able to tell somewhat of like what she heard. And didn't Bundy leave? I mean, yeah, wasn't there people that lived with Bundys too? I mean, I don't know how much that played into it, but I either think that it was the step or that. What do you think?
What if, and I'm just thinking about this out loud. What if he left her alive so that she could tell that it wasn't somebody that they were familiar with? So somebody doesn't get blamed for this. Somebody doesn't know. Somebody else don't get credit for what he did.
I was just going to say, it wouldn't, if anything, it wouldn't be blame. It would be credit. He wouldn't want somebody else to get credit for that. It absolutely could be. And again, by, her now thinking for the rest of her life, she's going to have survivor's guilt. She's always thinking, why me? Like, why didn't he come for me too? She even says that in her interview. So I just feel like that's like, that's just very sadistic if that is what he did, because again, he's the arbiter of life and death. And in the end, he's even the one who says whether he lives or dies, because he winds up pleading guilty so that, and getting the death off the table. So I felt like that was like an ultimate power play in his thought process as well.
Yeah, I'm reminded by the Zodiac. The Zodiac put up a get up together. He even put his little emblem on his chest when he attempted to kill somebody. And that was something that struck fear. And it was something that was talked about. His description that he had, the mask, the Undertaker type style mask, and the glasses, and the Zodiac symbol on his chest. Bryan Kohberger didn't have any sort of symbol on him, but he was dressed up very similar to The Scream, which he was studying Danny Rawlings for a little bit. Very similar dress up, all in black, large butcher knife type. I wondered if maybe perhaps, I think there's more than one reason that he does a lot of the things. Kind of like when I talk about like BTK and I say, hey, he had a sexual thing and that's why he committed his crimes, but he also got off on talking about his crimes to the media and people being stumped on things. So did the Zodiac. In my opinion, they didn't commit their crimes to stump the media, to be out there and try to set off clues and and create this huge mystery. No, they did it because it was a sexually motivated crime. They just got off on that. There was multiple facets to it. And so I wonder if this is one of the reasons why he didn't attack her was, yes, she could have called 911. Police may have been on the way. He may have heard her on the last time and didn't hear her the other times when she was calling out for Kaylee. And it dawned on him the last time and he knew he had to get out. 100%. I believe that's quite plausible. My thoughts are, though, like, if he left somebody alive and they saw him and they couldn't identify him or anything, that would definitely bring more attention to the case.
1,000%. And like you said, I never ever thought that he was exhausted or that he left because he thought the cops were called. I always thought it was one of the other two. And I think that they play more into that fascination. So he probably fantasized about someone who would then look back and have survivor's guilt and live in fear for their whole lives and look over their shoulders that whole time. Think about it. He got to think about what both survivors might have been, like how scared they might have been in the 6 weeks before they were able to catch him, thinking like, is he going to come back for me? Like, is he going to find me? If he was looking at us all along, and they didn't know who they were looking out for. So I couldn't imagine how paralyzing that must have felt for them.
If they would have done a sketch, because they wanted to with Dylan to see if they could draw the eyes or whatever. If they would have done that, how do you think Kohberger would have reacted to it?
That's a good question. I don't know, because you didn't really see much of his face. So if anything, it would have been more of like a balaclava with bushy eyebrows, and then they would have, so I don't know. He might have printed it out or taken a picture with it. I don't know. He probably, if anything, would have been, proud of or again, the fact that she saw him enough to know that he wasn't one of their friends, and that, because she does say that in all the things she says, I didn't recognize his voice, I didn't recognize him. So you're right in the fact that, by keeping her alive, she gets to tell that, so that somebody else doesn't get to claim his work.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the picture thing, because there wasn't a whole lot of his face that they could have really seen. So I wonder why they chose not to do it. And also, a few times in her interviews, she kept saying, like, I think, I don't know, I think, I don't. So I don't know if they were afraid to, I don't know. Why do you think that they didn't do it?
Well, she wasn't able to come up with anything that was concrete. If she was able to say, his eyes were this shape and this color and the eyebrows look like this and drew them out, outside of just possibly one bushy eyebrow, it sounded weird in some of the ways that she described it. It didn't sound like there was a lot of descriptors there. Yeah. But I was wondering if, like, for instance, that mask and all that other stuff with the Zodiac was released to the public. If he looked at it, it might not be the same as the white Elantra, because the white Elantra was pretty specific, very close to his vehicle. That freaked him out. I don't know if he would have had the same reaction if all he saw were eyes,
Well, and if you look at it, if he's inside looking, or Papa Roger, he obviously likes to get himself a little bit out there, because both of those pictures clearly look like him. The one day when I was writing in the chat, I was trying to tell you to look up the inside looking. It's like a picture and you only see like his like eye type thing, but after like you see so many of his pictures now, if you look at the inside looking one, you totally see the resemblance. So what that would say to me is that even the Papa Roger one, if that's him, he put himself out there enough to where we're all like, wow, look how closely they look. However, it's not close enough because they're both like drawn to where it looks just like him. So I guess that same thing could be said for a drawing of him. It would be the same thing. It could look anything. It could look just like you, but you can't say that it's you because it's a drawing of someone else's perception.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just one of the things that stuck out to me. I was like, man, I wonder if this guy left her alive on purpose for some other nefarious reason.
Absolutely, he could have.
And so the docuseries goes on to say that, and so this is the part where it talks about the DNA, but we already covered that. Bryan Kohberger's family, they talk about it. Agents from Scranton had revealed that Bryan Kohberger's family had talked about the possible connection between Bryan Kohberger and the murders. They emphasized that he drove a similar car, but that his mom and dad, and I'm assuming this was his daughters, because they don't necessarily say that, but they say mom and dad put a stop to it. No, it couldn't have been him. He couldn't have done this. But there was conversations among the Kohberger family if he would have been involved, which kind of makes you question that link now that mom sent to Bryan Kohberger while he's talking to her. Did you hear about that?
Yes, that is crazy to me. And that they were even talking about it in the way that they were. And like you just said, they were on the phone. So that makes it even more interesting to me. It wasn't that like she just sent him the link and was like, oh, check this out. They were on the phone. So that means that they must have been talking about it. And she must have been like, oh, you like, did you see da da da? And he must have been, so then she sends it to him while they're on the phone, which just says to me, like, how much did they talk about it? And how much did she, like, I wonder if she thought that he might have known something about it.
Well, the emphasis was on Xana's injuries and that she fought back. To me,
it sounded like that bothered him.
Well, this is what I thought. This is what I had said. Because I think she had defensive wounds, but there was no fabric under her fingernails. There wasn't any skin. There wasn't any blood, any of those things. So I don't think she fought back in the sense where she was hitting him. She fought back to defend herself, put her arms up, grab the knife, those type of things. And so I think I think that, to me, if somebody's sending you a link while you're talking to them, it could be one of a couple of reasons. One could be like, hey, did you see this link? I'm going to send it to you. Look about the details. Could also be because they're in a little bit of a debate. What if mom is saying, hey, supposedly one of them fought like hell, and he's like, no, they didn't. Yeah, no, they weren't. And then here's the link. Here's what showed it. And I wonder what he would have thought in that moment.
Because then it would be like a girl beat him up in some way. So, I mean, that can't be because of his misogynistic thought process. So 1000%, that is probably most likely what happened.
Now, you mentioned the misogynistic avenue. He was under Dr. Ramsland, female Dr. Catherine Ramsland. Why do you think that he had such an admiration for her?
I don't think
and talked highly about her to other people.
I don't think he talked highly of her, Daniel. I think he talked highly of the fact that he knew someone famous in criminology. And I think that he tried to make women look like they weren't smart enough. He even said to some of his cohort that they're going to have a hard time or something looking for a job when they're done, because he's like going to take all the, I don't know. He said something along the lines like they're going to have a hard time finding a job because he's just so wonderful. And, he's going to take all the good jobs, I guess. But he always has that misogynistic thing going. So I've always felt like, how much did he really respect Catherine Ramsland? Or did he see her as an in? Like, she clearly is interested. She has that first encounter with there was like a serial killer from when she was growing up in her neighborhood. And then she does the BTK thing. So I definitely think that he saw it as an opportunity because he already knows that she's somebody that would bring it into the discussion. And she has, right? She said, absolutely, he's definitely going to be at least a chapter. And that's her right, But I do think that he saw her more as an opportunity to, as somebody that will talk to him now or, teach about him now. So I think she was more of an opportunity than she was like a mentor.
I can't help but wonder, though, if something may have changed at some point. He had a lot of problem with identity. He had a lot of problem understanding who he was. I mean, he had a pretty good understanding of who he was and the lack of emotions and things of that nature. I can't help but wonder if maybe perhaps he was motivated by somebody else as well throughout his studies, or maybe even the Reddit survey, who turned him on to these misogynistic views. That's the reason why he didn't maybe get caught on to early on while he was at the cells. Maybe it was starting to spark his interest, but as he became closer with some other person. I'm not going to say one person or another. And it doesn't have to be somebody that's close to him, just kind of close in the sense where reading their story, reading what they're writing. Like if it was Elliot Rodger, you know, taking inspiration based on his manifesto, on his videos, those type of things. And if it wasn't him, it could have been somebody from Reddit. It could have been somebody from somewhere else. Do you think that in the time that he left DeSales to the time that he got to WSU, that somebody could have had an impact on him in those with those type of views?
No, I think if anything, I don't think that somebody like in his personal life or somebody that he went to school with did. But I do think that the more that he downloaded documents about like the more he studied serial killers, the more he felt like he was like he finally almost like found his identity. Like he was feeling something with these people, like he identified with them in some way. So again, I think that Ramsland unfortunately was just a means to an end and an opportunity because she's famous to like get his story out there. Because if he's her student 4 times over, like let's not forget that he took her for 4 classes. That's a lot. So that could be like a 2-year thing because you would think once a semester, and there's 2 semesters in the year. So he probably took her for 2 years in a row for the whole year. So again, I think it was more to like pick her brain. And who knows, maybe at one point he did. I mean, maybe at one point he didn't realize that he was going to do this in a few years. So maybe he saw her as an opportunity to get into the, you know, the famous part or the, you know, of criminology. But I definitely think he saw her as an opportunity more than somebody that he admired.
What about the position of authority? Do you think that may have impacted his or advanced his beliefs, advanced his motives, his thoughts? Maybe he had those things, but he wasn't in a position of authority like he was as a TA. And maybe that position of authority magnified his behaviors.
Oh, 1,000%. So even having a little bit of power, I think that finally made him feel like, because when you're like, if you're bullying somebody growing up, and I'm not calling him a bully, but they did say that after he lost weight, he came back and was very aggressive to others. So in that sense, that bullying is only done because somebody wants to feel power. So they do so by, you know, gaining that over someone else. So in this case, he's already given power. So it's not even that he has to scare people necessarily to get that bully power, if you will, over them. Now he has legitimate power over someone. He could literally give you a C if he wanted. That one girl contacts him and he does write her back. And I think he winds up changing, or the teacher changed her grade to an A, but she was like, I'm not a C student, I'm an A student. Like, and he was giving her C's. So I just feel like to him, and what did he say to her? He said something like, well, that sucks for you. Or
so
like
you're not good enough or something like that.
Yeah, like how inappropriate was that? So I just feel like that was his way of being like, ha, like I get to give you whatever I want.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Jeannie from the Seattle area says, do we think he left the door open for the dog? I don't think so. I think that causes another obstacle if the dog was left open or the door was left. Were we talking about the back sliding glass door? I don't think so.
No, I think she meant the bedroom door. I took it as the bedroom door, but I also don't think that he would do that. I don't even know now that he even saw the dog.
I don't think he did, because that leaves a huge obstacle. You know, the dog can, you know, he doesn't know the dog.
And even the dog does leave an obstacle at the end, right? So the dog does bark. So, and does get the attention of people because some of the neighbors said that the dog barked for up to a half hour or so. So, I mean, it does interfere in some points. So that makes me think even more that he probably didn't realize that the dog was there.
I agree. Callie Howard comes in with $5 and then says, $5. Thank you so much for your support. Injuries are all on the left of the victim except for Xana, as in the front left and back right. He attacked Xana from behind, in my opinion. I don't know where her injuries are to say one way or the other, to be honest with you. Didi Fuentes comes in with $9.99, and Sirius is the newest member. I thought you'd been a member for a while, but one of our great mods. Thank you for being a member.
Sometimes I noticed like like if your card has to switch up or whatever, like if you need to change your number, it'll drop your membership. So I always tell people to make sure they look for it.
Yeah. So a couple of other things that were disclosed in the docuseries. One of them was that BK's lawyer, I believe his name is Labar, out in Pennsylvania, spoke about Bryan Kohberger being surprised of the national attention and that he inquired which outlets were circling outside. That doesn't tell, those two things don't scream that those are the same things. Those don't go side to side. Oh, I didn't know this was going to reach national attention, even though he was on the run for 7 weeks and it was all over the news. You know, apparently another inmate even said, "Wow, I'm on every." He said, "Wow, I'm on every station."
Yep.
Do you think he was that naive?
No, not at all. I think that he was, if anything, engaging in the news with it online and stuff. So I do think he understood that. Now, I will say maybe before he did this, he might have thought about it, and maybe again by having Dr. Ramsland, he has that opportunity that so that if it doesn't make national news, because he has to know that there's a ton of serial killers out there that we never discuss because we might not even know that they exist. So I guess what I'm thinking, and I've always thought was, she then becomes the opportunity to tell his story. I don't think that he realized that it was going to be as big as it was, but I do think that he understood how big it got by the time he got arrested.
Yeah, no doubt that he knew. He had everything downloaded. He was watching YouTube videos on it. There's no way he didn't know. That's a complete lie. That's bull crap. And I think that a part of what he wanted was the media attention in the crime. I think that had to do with a lot of his motivation behind committing the crime. And he even went in to inquire which outlets were circling. So why would he care? You know what I mean? If it didn't matter to him. They talked about the statement that Bryan Kohberger made. Apparently it was 2.5 to 3 hours before he lawyered up. And majority of it was small talk. How much small talk can you have in 2.5 to 3 hours?
I don't know, but I think that he was like going to them, you know, so like, but it also seems like he asked for a lawyer, but then he kept asking questions like, what is it you want to know? I don't know. I think he had to know, especially because he took that law class. And it was like recently, like right before it happened type thing. So I do think that like he knew that they were making small talk with him, but you're right. How much small talk can you make in that amount of time? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's weird. Last couple of things. They found a search for Mad Greek through his Google Maps.
I'm not surprised.
And so this is where Maddie and Xana had worked at. And lastly, Bill Thompson says at the end, we got what we wanted. And I think they did. They got the arrest without having to explain everything in court, without the gory details, without having to make the university look bad, without having, I mean, they destroyed the house before the trial, and they got away with all of that. They were able to accomplish all those things and not have to go in front of the world basically on camera and discuss their investigation. And to be honest with you, how far bad they were off. Because, I've talked with Steve and he said that at the time that they got Bryan Kohberger's arrest, these idiots were still looking for drug dealers.
That's unbelievable. And I wonder how much of that was like, perpetuated from the cops, maybe also looking online to see what people were saying, which just shows their lack of, or their inability, let's say, to solve such a crime.
Well, I mean, I think that, yes, that's true. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why Bryan Kohberger chose the area, isn't it? He felt that they were undertrained. He felt that people in this area didn't understand things.
Yes.
All those things, rural area, didn't understand cloud-based forensics. So he in part, he chose the area probably because of the fact that he felt that he could get over on them. And if it wasn't for the FBI, he would have. I mean, the FBI handed everything to him. They did the DNA, they did the family tree, they did the cast, they did everything.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been in the hands of theirs.
The more time that goes on, I'm like happy that, like, at first I think we were both like highly against the fact that they did this agreement, but I think we both come to the conclusion that thank God they did. Like, I just don't feel like they did a good enough. Like, I feel like they made it seem like they had so much evidence, and I'm sure they do, right? But I just don't know. Like, it worries me. Would they have really been able to get the same outcome had they went to trial? So the more time that goes past, the more I feel like they did do the right thing, even though I didn't think that at the same time. I know that you also changed your mind, but I don't know if that's why. So tell us why. Because
Yeah,
remember,
I'm glad that they took the plea deal because they couldn't present the evidence to save their life.
that's what
And
I
I
was trying to
think,
say.
and I
Yes.
think Ann Taylor would have outlawyered Bill Thompson.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
1,000%.
if it wasn't for Judge going in there and dropping it on Ann Taylor, many times acting as what should the defensive team be saying and doing, I think that this could have had a different outcome. I think that Bryan Kohberger made a huge mistake when he waived his right for speedy trial.
I was just saying that in my head.
Yeah,
1,000%.
had he gone to trial and on time, I mean, there would have been so many factors still. You still would have had the unknown DNA on the handrail, on the glove outside, even though I think some of that may have been explainable, but that still would have been brought up in court. Like, isn't there other DNA? You still would have had the question marks about the phones and things of that nature. It wouldn't have been as shored up as it was come the time when he pled out. And so there would have been a lot of more avenues for plausible, for reasonable doubt, in my opinion.
And all you need is one juror to say, no, I'm not doing this. So like, and that could have even caused a hung jury, right? And then you see with the Karen Reed case, like it could just go on forever and ever and ever. So I definitely think that they did the right thing. Now, at first I didn't. But again, like the more evidence that comes out, the more I'm like, oh gosh, like, and the more I'm surprised that he took the deal.
Well, supposedly, according to Howard Bloom, it was because to save his mother from being on the stand and possibly facing legal action and things.
I think if anything, I don't know that I believe that, just because I think that he really has a personality disorder where he wouldn't even feel that. I think if anything, he probably didn't want a lot of like information to come out that he would have deemed embarrassed by.
What do you
More
mean?
so I think, like, in other words, he might have used his mom as an excuse, like, oh, I'm going to do this because, I'm going to save my mom from getting on the stand. But I think if anything, he probably felt more out of control about not knowing, like, you can't really say what's going to happen in court, right? So anybody could say anything, and then people were going to tell stories about how he's creepy and how he stared at people. And so I feel like all of that stuff, by doing this, he was able to regain some of that, not some of it, but all of that control, and then say how the story is going to be written in the end, which gave him the ultimate control. So I almost feel like it backfired in that sense, but I think that it gave us a guilty verdict, and that's what was needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Warning label Nina comes in saying ISP Forensic Lab is number 13 in the world. So people should stop acting like they mucked up the STR. Not you, Daniel Probergers. Yeah, no, I knew you weren't talking about me. I think that the Idaho State Lab did a fantastic job. I think the FBI did a fantastic job. I think Othram did a fantastic job. My questions have been with Bill Thompson and his
I was going to say,
inability.
even Ann Taylor did a great job for the defense, right? It was just him.
Yeah, Bill Thompson just did not come off personable. He seemed like he was taking the attacks from Bill Thompson and probably the Probergers calling him Santa Claus and stuff. It seemed like he was taking all that kind of personal, and to a certain extent, to a point where he stopped talking. And I thought it was good because they were letting the other lawyers talk, and he wasn't showing up. And it got to the point where I even questioned. I was like, "Is Bill Thompson even on the prosecution anymore?" And I was hoping that was the case, but it ended up not being. And it's not an easy job, for him either. He's got to weigh in a bunch of different things. I might be a little bit hard on Bill Thompson, but in the end, I just do not like the way he handled the case. I don't like the way he answered some of the questions for the victims. I don't like the way they didn't answer questions for the victims' family members. I think a lot of this stuff could have been avoided. A lot of the turmoil between the Goncalves family and some of the other victim family members with the prosecution, and one of those things is, like, for instance, they met prosecution met with the Goncalves family after the plea change and before the sentencing to tell them, what they knew. And Bill Thompson wasn't a part of that. He skipped that meeting. And two, they weren't telling him anything. It was like, all right, you ask and we'll tell you, but you have to ask specifically. So how the hell are they going to ask questions that they don't know the answers to, that they don't know to ask? You know what I mean?
That's unbelievable. That's such a shame. That's so unbelievable. And now they're finding stuff out with the rest of us in the news.
And it gets worse. I mean, I liked Hitler. Shame. I liked Hitler a lot, but apparently, and I haven't seen it all, but apparently in the Nancy Grace interview with Steve, Hitler tells him, we're not going to find out. He says something about him talking to the media isn't going to bring his daughter back. Like, I have no idea why the folks out there in Idaho are teaching or treating victim family members in the manner that they are.
That's unbelievable. I didn't hear that. That's terrible.
It is terrible. They wanted him. He did not say Hitler. Was it Bill Thompson then?
Okay, that makes it even worse. I feel like Bill Thompson, not for nothing, but I feel like from the very beginning, if you look at his track record, he was known for doing deals, and he also only took, I think it was like one case to the death penalty. So I feel, or sorry, I didn't mean to say it, but I feel like if anything, I feel like he always knew that this was going to be the outcome, even though I feel like he acted like he was going for the DP more so than I really think that he wanted to or thought he was going to.
Betty Ross comes in saying it was a judge. He didn't mention which judge. Could have been Judge. I know that they were all upset with him talking to the media, but that's not, I mean, Steve said it was a judge that said that. Yeah. I was assuming it was Judge Hitler, but it could have been Judge. It could have been the female judge that ended up putting a gag order on his attorney. Remember that one?
Yeah. That
like, who the hell does that? And it was not asked upon either. Nobody asked for it. It wasn't part of the original gag. It happened after the fact.
Yeah, that's unusual, right?
It seems unusual to me. I've never seen anything like that.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, like why do you have to gag the lawyer?
I don't know. But I seen her recently. Isn't she like back on like hearing some of the things? Because I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like she like recently did something in the case, but I could be wrong. It could have been like old footage that I saw. But if somebody knows, let me know, because I feel like, but wouldn't it be Judge Hitler, I guess, would do the stuff? I don't know. Maybe it was, I feel like they were talking about releasing the DNA or something like that. And I feel like she was the judge that like oversaw that, but maybe it was something old and I just saw.
Well, she saw that she also had to do with the gag order. She's the one that gagged.
So maybe that's why.
But Close says here, Steve absolutely said it was Hitler who made those comments based on the sealed hearing he referenced. I know which one he was talking about. I never heard a judge speak that way. Yeah, that was, and you know, he didn't like, and I don't know if this was before or after, you know, what Steve went out there and said to report to the judge, tell him that you don't want him to accept the plea or things of that nature. I know that got under Steve Hitler's belt because he ended up bringing it up like, I'm not going to listen to anything that anybody says for me to do and all this other stuff. He didn't sound too pleased about that. But yeah, to me, that is insane. Whoever said it.
And insensitive.
It is. I mean, you're not. It's not
like sometimes I feel like the defendant gets like more rights than the victims do, and that's terrible.
I agree 100%. And I think, you know, I think that the punishments are more for the community than they are for the victims too.
Oh, 1,000%. You're right.
You know, they don't take the victim's consideration. They want to make sure that there isn't a public outcry. And so they'll take some conviction over another. But then that's how you end up with a guy like the Harrows, where that guy should have been in jail, but because they take a plea deal, he gets out, fathers another child, and then beats that child to they're no longer alive.
That's terrible. But it also shows how political things are too, right? Because like Bill Thompson, his position is a political position. So it really does go back to the people, because they're going to try to please the people that have to vote them into office.
100%. Well, it was great talking to you, Dr. Vona. I'm glad that you were able to join. I know you said there wasn't much there, but we spent almost 2 hours talking about it.
I feel like we could talk about this forever.
What do you have going on? I'm going to test you now.
So I know, now that I know that it's coming, I try to prepare myself. So last night, well, I think it might have been early this morning, I finally finished that documentary, the Mackenzie Shrilla. So the documentary, it's not like what you guys already think. So it's not like a repeat of the story. What I did was I took the story, and you see like video of her the whole time in the background and pictures. But what I do is I break it down developmentally. So I talk about personal fable, imaginary audience, the lack of brain development, and we go into all of that. And I go in. So I think that anybody that is interested, I know a lot of people like when I come on here because they like the psychological part too. If you're interested in the psychological part, I would say please go check this out. And even if you're not, please just check the video out so I could get some likes and get into the algorithm so other people could see it, because there are people out there that could get a lot from this video. So everybody,
Yes.
please go look at that at The Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. And Daniel, I didn't share this one. So if whenever you get a chance, just send it to me and maybe I'll make a couple shorts out of it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Make sure you guys go and follow. And I got some things I want to share real quick too.
Please.
But go follow Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. It's right here. It's also linked in the description. Also, don't forget Warning Label Nina. We got to get her up. She's almost to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get Warning Label Nina up there.
Yes,
she's doing a great thing. So follow both these guys. For me, I'm going to be talking about the disappearance of Jack and Lily Sullivan a little bit more, and I also still talking about Timothy Dees. So I just got in. I'm going to go pick it up tomorrow. A flash drive from Barbara Hall, who is the mother of Timothy Dees. Timothy Dees passed away a couple of years back under suspicious circumstances. Law enforcement don't want to touch it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because, Timothy's body was found less than 200 yards away from a police officer's shed, which cadaver dogs hit on. Maybe it's because his body was found on the property of a judge. I don't know, but they don't want to investigate it.
I'm interested in this.
I just dropped a video about the interrogation of Caleb Nanny. This is a person who was friends with Timothy Dees, the only person he knew in Fredericktown. He ended up going over there to stay with him. He called 911 and said his friend was threatening him. That's the only person he had. This guy messages Timothy Dees at 8:30 in the morning, the day he disappears, and says, "I'm going to whoop your effing ass." And then 40 minutes later, Timothy Dees' debit card is used at an ATM. He's never heard from before. The last time he's heard from is at 4:00 in the morning when he called 911 saying that his friend was threatening him. At 8:30, he makes threatening remarks to Timothy. And then he also tells other people that he's going to beat his ass when he finds him. And then after 9:00, he's like, "Oh, I can't find him. I don't want to worry about him. No more anything." And he ends up getting arrested for a drive off and for a warrant. Now, the weird thing about it is that law enforcement are helping him out with his alibi. They said that they arrested him at 9:00. Well, that ATM thing happened at 9:11. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I mean, if they arrested him at 9, here's the interesting thing. I have a screenshot where Timothy messaged one of his friends saying, "Hey, lend me $10 because I'm fixing to go to jail for a drive off." And this is at 10 a.m., not at 9, at 10 a.m. And so this is proof that he hadn't been in jail yet. He hadn't been in custody because he had his phone. He didn't say he's in jail. He said, "I'm going to jail if I don't pay this money for the gas drive off."
So what's the connection to the cops?
I think they're doing something illegal there. I don't think they have anything to do with Timothy's murder per se, but I think they don't want anybody investigating the area.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of like
we call it an interest convergence in higher education, where two interests, they converge or they team up together because they both have an interest in whatever the subject is, even if it's not the exact same thing. So that's what this seems like too. Like you're saying, they might not be related, but they don't want them to look into that. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they're related to that extent, but I don't think they want them to be looking into them. And wow. Here is this is the video here. Let me pull it up real quick. I don't want to play it. It's the police interrogation. Did Timothy Dees' friend get away with the ultimate crime? The video has like 1,000 something views. Let's get it up. It is, if you go to Drunk Turkey Show videos, it's the last video I aired. It is this orange one right here. Please go watch it. In this interview, he says, here's the two new things that we've uncovered. In this interrogation with law enforcement, he tells law enforcement that Timothy was walking around his house and that he kicked something. And that when he kicked it, somebody's social security card, birth certificate, and identification fell out. And that he goes, "You know what? I think he was going to use it to go and flee the country or change his identity." He was talking about changing his identity last night. I thought he was just talking crazy. Well, I got a video of him having a phone conversation with his sister about when they got the ID and the birth certificate. So why is he lying about that?
That's shadier than blinds to go.
And police don't want to investigate it. Here's the other tricky thing. And this is why I think police don't want to investigate it. Timothy Dees was 5 months while he was missing, so he had skeletal remains. His tooth was missing from his skull at the scene. It wasn't there. When his bones were given to the coroner and turned over to the funeral home, his tooth was put back in his skull. No documentation, no nothing about anybody putting it there. You want to know why I think they did that?
Yeah, why? Because something's not right about that.
Because that would prove foul play, and they don't want foul play looked into it.
Because they don't want them looking into
the area. Yeah, they have it as a undisclosed or undetermined death. If you find out that there's teeth missing and all these other things, that's murder.
Oh yeah, that's so shady.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So they're hiding this. They are hiding this. Barbara Hall. They tried to say that there was no 911 call from Timothy D's law enforcement. They tried to deny the 911 call. Barbara Hall got in contact with the officer that actually answered the call and got him recorded saying, yeah, I'm the one that took the call. And then they came back and said, oh, wait, it did happen, but lightning hit us and destroyed the 911 call.
Stop it.
Not only that, remember the ATM footage? The ATM footage for that 9/11 at 9 and 9/11 in the morning, they show up. The Barbara Hall talks to the gas station clerk. She says that the clerk told her that she gave that footage to the police chief. The police chief said that footage was then also struck by lightning. Not to mention that Barbara had an altercation with the police chief, which included the police chief's wife. No, the judge's wife, where the property where Timothy D's was found. The wife of that judge told Barbara in front of the police chief on body cam that she's never going to find out what happened to her son. That police footage body cam has also been struck by lightning.
Stop it. Stop.
And she has the letters saying, we apologize, but the stuff that you're looking for has been struck by lightning.
What? If anything you get tomorrow, you want to send me so that we could do a show on that or whatever, please feel free to do so, because I'm definitely interested in that. That's unbelievable. And you guys, I need 30 more subs to get to my next thing. So if 30 of you, there's a bunch of you on here, if 30 of you could go over, that would be amazing. And my video only has 100 views and I worked for 2 weeks on it. So if people could just, even if you don't watch it, just click on it. Hook me up.
Send it to me and I'll share it in my post as well.
Thanks.
I just pinned in the comment section, and I'm going to put this also in the in the comments afterwards for those that are watching on the replay. I'm going to pin the video, the interrogation video of Timothy Deese's friend. Yeah, it is interesting. The things that he says, the crap he says. And you know what else I just got that I'm going to release?
Yeah,
I got a video or audio that was recorded from 2 law enforcement officers talking about the case. And the law enforcement officer that actually did the interrogation is like, I really didn't see anything suspicious. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? The guy says that he kicks a random box, and all this ID, everything you need to change your identity, except it's for a woman.
Yeah,
the ID, birth certificate, and the social security card he randomly found was for a woman that he was going to supposedly change his identity to.
Something's not right.
Yeah, it really isn't. I put the link in there, guys. Please go check out the video there. Don't forget to support.
And wait, who is it of? Who is the person of the video that I'm about to watch? Who's being interrogated? His friend? His
best friend, the guy that was there.
The one that we think is shady.
The one that we think is shady. The one who if you haven't watched the video yet, I actually have a clip of Timothy Deese talking to Barbara Hall, Timothy's mom, saying, I'm going to do everything I can to find him. When I get out of here, I'm going to find him. He was in jail for 40 days. Timothy Deese was missing for 5 months. He never messaged him. Never once. Never said, where are you? How are you doing? We're looking for you. Nothing. Why do you think he did that? In my opinion, he does that.
He knew.
Because he knew. Because he stopped messaging him after the threat, too. You know, he messaged him at 8:30 saying, I'm going to whip your effing ass.
Could he
And-
have assumed that like his mom and stuff already texted him like, "Where are you?" I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. It
Well,
sounds
I mean,
shady though.
he this is the way, those was his means of conversation with him. If he was going to try to find him,
Yeah, that would be the first thing you do.
yeah. And then the day he goes missing, he never stops. He stops calling and texting when he gets out, and never does any of those things. It is so shady. This case here screams to me that police weren't involved in the murder. I don't think that to be the case, although I did find it weird that a cadaver dog hit on a police officer's storage shed.
And
That
you said
was
a sheriff on a sheriff's land or something?
on a judge, on a
Or a
sitting
judge?
judge.
That's weird too.
Yeah. And so it is there is so much stuff there. And go watch it. I put a video together. I didn't put all of the shady stuff that's there because I only put a little 5-minute intro into what it was about. And then afterwards, you know what? In fact, to leave the show, I'll play that little 5-minute intro that I have so that you guys can see it and what it's about. And that'll be the end of the show here. And so if you guys are interested, you guys can go watch the actual interrogation video and you guys can let me know what you guys think. Dr. Vona, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank
You have
you.
yourself a great night. Is there
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Daniel. You're the best. And thank you, Steelers fan. Thank you, everyone.
I'll see you guys next time. Until next time, you guys can watch this. Peace. Timothy Dees of Creve Coeur, Missouri, went missing after traveling with his friend Caleb Nanny, who also went by Caleb Kelly online, to Caleb's tiny home in the back of his mother's house in Fredericktown, Missouri, about an hour and a half south of Creve Coeur on February 27, 2022. Caleb was the only person Timothy knew in Fredericktown, so at 4:04 a.m. on February 28th, when Timothy called 911, frantically telling dispatch he was being chased and threatened by his friend, it could only be one person.
The Timmy Dees thing.
Yeah.
I was the one that took the call that night, so I show up. The call come in that he said that his friend was out in the yard threatening him.
When officers arrived, they were met by an agitated and uncooperative relative of Caleb's, a cousin who claimed that he had just arrived to get some assistance with a flat tire and saw Timmy leave the residence quickly, but claimed to not know why. He was arrested for an unrelated warrant. Officers did not make contact with Timothy, nor did they try. They, believing the agitated cousin of Caleb's was the reason for the call, they left without attempting to contact Timothy or call him on his phone. Timothy's remains would be found 5 months later in a tree line less than 200 yards from where Timothy made his frantic 911 call, which so happened to be right outside of Caleb's home. Later on in the morning of February 28th, officers would arrive back at Caleb's, and he would be arrested for a gas drive-off he and Timothy had done the night before. Caleb would stay in jail for 40 days for the drive-off and an unrelated warrant. While in jail, Caleb made statements to law enforcement, his family, and Barbara Hall, who is Timothy's mother. Caleb claimed to not know where Timothy was and would help find him when he would be released.
See if any word about Timmy. I'm worried about him. I'm hoping everything's okay. Just when you get this, just so you know, that I talked to a private investigator. I told him everything I knew, everything that I think he'd be, where he'd be. When I get out, I'm going to look as hard as I can to find him. I'm worried, Barb. I love you. I love him. I don't you think that I'd do anything to hurt him.
Recently, the family of Timothy have been able to gain access into Timothy's Facebook. Here are the messages between Caleb and Timothy just before Timothy is never seen again. The last message the morning Timothy goes missing is a threat by Caleb to Timothy. Caleb and Timothy's main form of contact was Facebook Messenger, and yet after Caleb's release, he never messages Timothy again. Not even a "where are you? We're looking for you. Are you okay?" Interesting enough, the last time of the last message from Caleb threatening Timothy happened 40 minutes before Timothy's debit card would be used at an ATM machine. Just after 9 a.m. on the morning of February 28, 2022. Timothy's debit card, though, was located with his remains in his pants His pants did appear to have been pulled down. Did Timothy make this withdrawal? Caleb would tell law enforcement that Timothy got high and paranoid and left out of nowhere that night. He stated he had called him several times that morning, and the only time that he did answer, around 4 a.m., he stated that Timothy sounded like he was running and stated someone was chasing him. Another time, Caleb tells law enforcement earlier he had left to visit a friend and left Timothy at his tiny home while he was gone. He stated when he returned, he had discovered Timothy had taken pictures of Caleb's stuff and sent Snapchats to people trying to sell Caleb's belongings. I wonder how he knew Timothy had done that on his phone, a phone that would never be found. You may say, well, check the footage from the ATM machine. Well, here's where the oddities with law enforcement begin. The owner of the gas station indicated they turned over all the footage to the police chief. However, when a request for it was made by Barbara, she was informed it was struck by lightning. That wasn't the only evidence lost to multiple lightning strikes. Body cam footage from the same police chief and an interaction with Barbara was also struck and lost by lightning. And police refused to release the 911 call, claiming it too was struck in another lightning strike. As for Caleb's alibi, when the ATM withdrawal had occurred, he stated he was already arrested for the gas drive-off at 9 a.m. Police reports also indicate that Caleb had been arrested at 9 a.m., but what neither law enforcement or Caleb accounted for is a screenshot of text message between Caleb and his friend indicating at 10 a.m. that Caleb needed $10 so he doesn't go to jail. Kind of interesting that he would have his phone if he was already incarcerated, and indicating that he needed the money now so that he would not go to jail, indicating that maybe perhaps that interaction with law enforcement that resulted in his arrest happened after 10 a.m. when he was asking for the money so that he would not go to jail for the gas drive-off. Also, in the text chain between Caleb and his friend, Caleb sounds very upset at Timothy threatening harm. But why would the police cover up for Caleb Nanny? Perhaps it's more of what an investigation into the area may uncover. Sounds like someone up high doesn't want anyone looking into the area. Oddly, Timothy's remains were found in a tree line inside the property of a sitting judge at the time. Whatever the case, the police are refusing to investigate. I recommend checking out my interview with Barbara Hall. After this police interview, it's tagged in the corner here and also at the end of the video. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the statements made by Caleb. Do you think he's being honest? Do you think he's telling the truth? Like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, here's Caleb's interview with law enforcement.
How's it going? Caleb,